Hello and welcome to Monday Musing. I don't know, 13, 14, who knows? Valrak. Valrakian heresy is just kicking off in the chat, which is always brilliant to see. I'm going to catch up on the chat, but let's maybe start at them. Yeah, it's going crazy. So Valrak, fantastic. Chapter Master Valrak's in the house. Reaper 28. But let's disconnecting and connecting. What does that mean? On the chat before we get into tonight's musing, which is what makes a good gaming table. I've got a little bit of feedback as well on Eldar and a little bit of pre-excitement on Tyranids. For those of you who watch the channel, you'll know that they're my two main armies, so I'm pretty excited / poverty stricken, the fact that they've released Eldar and Tyranids within a couple of weeks of each other, but at least there wasn't too many new models. I say too many new models. Hopefully I've got a couple of Bone Singers on their way to me. Right, let's catch up there. So Patrick joined the chat really early on, which is cool, but disappeared for food, which is reasonable enough to do. So Patrick Metzer was on there, and who else have we got? Orc Boys joined the chat nice and early, getting in the front row as well. So hopefully the view is good for you. What else have we got? Derpimus Maximus joined us nice and easy, and congratulations to Derpimus, who is now a new uncle, or at least has a new nephew. I'm not quite sure whether you had nephews previously, but either way, congratulations on a baby born on Saturday. So hopefully they will be home soon, all safe and sound. Who else have we got? Al Kirkham joins as well. Hey Al, how you doing? Robbie Cohen's in there. Bernard Miller's joined us, and Bernard said something lovely later on. I think he was saying it's down to myself and Sam that we've lit his interest in 40k and Age of Sigmar. So thank you very much. I'm glad. The more hobbyers, the better. Hobbyists. The more hobbiness in our lives, the better. Andrew Begg is in the chat as well. Evening, sir. Liam Badley. I almost say Bradley. And the thing is, for the people who I know Liam, and I always say his name wrong, and it's kind of a thing we've got going off. When, what else have we got? MCM 1966 is in. Reaper 28 joined. I think there's not long afterwards, after Reaper joined, as it all started to go crazy. But Militaires, is that LOM Wargamer joined us in the chat as well? I'm not sure whether that's IOM or LOM, so apologies if I'm getting that wrong. Vicaria, hey Amit, how you doing? Reaper's reminded me what chat we're actually on. Long time no see. Oh, you've not been that long gone, but I have missed you, Reaper. I have missed you indeed. Big Mate Dan Skills joined us. Jim Wilson's in the chat. Goodness me, Bernard Miller's found his people. That's brilliant. You're more than welcome in our house of hobby. Orc Boys is in the chat. I'm sure I've mentioned you. Vicious Vicious, and this is Leroy Twizzlers. There's a lot of Valrak love for Valrak, for the bearded Valrak, for the beard and Valrak, and bask in my raid. Thank you very much. I think your raid, hopefully, may or may not be over. Who knows? But thank you for joining us, even during your short raid. Happy Pills. Sam is actually watching Valrak, I think, as well. And 45 is spreading the name of Valrak. Oh, dear me. It's definitely gone into a Valrak raid, which is cool. I love a bit of Valrak. I think everybody should. Kablam says you can still hear me, which is brilliant. I've caught up with the chat. It said I was broken, but apparently maybe not. Maybe not. Oh, Reaper says silence. And then a smiley face. Oh, don't mess with me. What's this crusade stuff? Icaria, we're still here. Made it, says Furious George. And I think, at that, the Valrakian raid is not over. It's just gone 9 o'clock in the UK, Mr. Miller. And Sam is in our chat as well. I don't think I've seen Sam active in the chat a couple of times. He may disappear, he may not. He's a busy man. And he's doing such wonderful hobby stuff at the moment. So he knows there's a lot of hobby love coming his way. And oh yeah, well, it's going to be a crazy week, isn't it? This week we've got our Halloween special tomorrow night. I've been preparing some things, which is interesting, and had a bit of fun with that tonight. And I've got more work to do when this is over. Sarah's been out shopping for Halloween supplies as well, so even Sarah, my wife, has been joining in and helping out, getting quite excited as well. So I think we should be good. I think we should be good for the Halloween special. which is good. Stalk 40k is in the chat as well. Fantastic. Right. Okay then. So I'm really looking quite a mess tonight, aren't I? I didn't shave after the beard mishap the other week. I'm trying to grow it back, but I think I need to tidy up, don't I? And this new camera shows all of my glorious stubbliness off. I'm trying to move away from the camera so you don't have to put up with it. Oh, right. Well, there's a lot of Sam love in the chat, which there should be because he is pretty lovable. So, what have we got? Corn crazy or Imperial Zealot crazy? Oh, both. Our Sam is a bit of a hobby machine, and oh well, Adaptus Samaticus. Nice, I like that one. Grammaticus Samaticus is a good one. He could be a psyker. I'll be off tomorrow. We'll be here again. I'll be off tomorrow. We'll be here again. Oh, awesome. Right. Okay. Looking forward to the Halloween special. Brilliant. That's cool. And Coleman's just arrived. And Happy Bill's saying your beard is fabulous. Seriously, it's no, okay. This will be the second chat in a row if we start talking about my beard. So let's dodge the beard. And maybe start with a couple of things. Beard bra. Let's start with catching up on a couple of things from GW this week. So, well, what can I say? Couple of things. Let's have a look, see if this is going to work. It is indeed. So, the Great Devourer, essential accessories for armors and painters, and scenery bundles. I was pretty excited by this quick release. I will get on to talking about my tables and gaming tables and stuff like that, but let's have a little quick catch up on the hobby. I'm trying to be a bit more structured, so 7 minutes in rather than last time where I was 30 minutes before I stopped talking about the chat. Let's have a look. So, Tyranid Codex, that's pretty exciting, is it not, for all us Tyranid players? I'm pretty happy to see that coming up. Big smile on my face, particularly if it's anything near the Eldar Codex, which was just mental. I managed to get it a couple of days early, which was awesome. So it gave me time to read through. Played the first game this weekend. Oh, amazing sort of tactically. The combinations you can do, the strategies you can employ. I just had a lot of fun in the game. Not sure my opponent did. It was Jack. He was playing guard. It wasn't filmed. This was a test game because I kind of figured I'd need to at least get familiar with the codex, and it was actually, interestingly enough, it's my first new edition codex I've worked to, so bending my head around some of the changes, not just from the index but also, you know, employing army specific stratagems and stuff. I just wanted to kind of dip my toes in and get used to it a little bit. Jack, bless him, I've never seen him roll so badly. I mean, it was horrendous. And simultaneously, I've never seen myself roll so wonderful. So in one turn, he turned his entire army onto a single shining spear. Just one remaining shining spear exile. Shot his entire army at it and didn't do a single wound against it. It was just utterly ridiculous. He had shining spear, got, I think, a 4-up invuln save, you know, given over from the fact that you can kind of jink around the board and all the rest. And I just didn't miss one. I didn't miss one 4-up roll, and I'm talking, you know, I lost count. It was above 15 at least, possibly 20 saves I had to make on the one model. So horrendous, poor fellow. So he didn't have a great time, but he'll be back. He'll be back and fighting fit. I had a fun time, but it was one of those games that almost swung too much my way, and I just felt really bad towards the end. But what a great codex. Anyway, if it's anything like the Eldar Codex, then I am very excited to be looking at the Tyranid Codex. But there's something else that prompted, there's two things that have prompted the talk on gaming boards. One, I've just finished the gaming table for, well, it's not for the Halloween special, it's so we can do a few games back in what was originally Studio Zero for Wargamer Online. In other words, my double garage where the hobby is based. And it was to get the gaming table back in here because my original 2nd edition gaming table was moved down to the studio. So I wanted to get a table back up, but I didn't want it to take too much space up. And it was also prompted by originally me looking at the, and I can't remember the name of it now, which is terrible, but Oh, Moonbase, Clysis. So which is what this scenery comes with. So I was looking at that thinking that's great, and it's a small table, and maybe you should just build a small table. And then it was in musing over that, I decided, well, maybe I could build a small table that's also a big table, and that's where I am now. What I'm excited about is this is the scenery from the Moonbase, which packs flat. So these segments here actually unclip, and you can sort of pack it flat into a box. So that's going to be really useful for the gaming table back here. Plus, I love this new design scenery. I think it's absolutely fantastic. It's really sort of grimdark, industrial. So I'm pretty excited by that. It goes really well with the kind of what was the Armageddon scenery. Super happy to be getting some of that on the table. So I dare say as soon as I've got some pennies saved together and done a bit of eBaying, I think a big box of that is coming my way for the table back here. And our plan is to be able to use this table as well to kind of up the battle report and gaming report videos, because a lot of the time I just don't have time to get down to the studio. They won't be as I suppose polished as some of our other ones with the multi-camera and stuff. There'll be less cameras, but we know there's an audience out there as well for some of the sort of less edited and multi-camera shot stuff as well. So we're going to try it out anyway, importantly. But the most important thing is getting it done as well for the Halloween special. So there you go. Pretty excited about the scenery, incredibly excited about Tyranids. And I think Sam could correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Sam's pretty excited about this little fellow as well. Personally, I don't know what's wrong with my whiskey bottle tops, but admittedly, there's a limited amount of whiskey I can drink in a week, and maybe this is a lot healthier to go with this. I don't know about everybody on the chat. I'd like to know your feedback on this, but this sounded really cheap at £5, and I suppose part of it is getting it in my hand and seeing the kind of quality it is. But actually, I don't think £5 a bad price for that. Could be wrong. There could be a bunch of stuff out there a hell of a lot cheaper. But the fact that it can spread and clamp, and you see it with a 40mm base there, 25mm base there, I'm pretty excited about that. The only thing is, of course, is it clamps bases. I mean, maybe you could put your models on cork, and then just if you had some sort of 25mm corks, and you could pin them to your corks, and maybe that will be Sam's idea, is to have like 30 corks, pin all of his models to the cork, and then clamp the cork in this bottom bit. It'll probably work. So I'm pretty excited by that too. So other than that, what we also have in the community was a confirmation of a couple of Tyranid rules today, which was pretty exciting. So let's just cover it very, very briefly, because I'm bound to talk a lot more about Tyranids over the next few weeks, because I love my Tyranids. Shadow in the Warp. Enemy psychers must subtract 1 from psychic test to make if they make it within 18 inch of units. I think it's good. It's a nice and simple rule. Doesn't make it too difficult to work out, which is all about speed in the new game. So I think that's good. Personally, though, and bear in mind that as an Eldar player, I love to get the psychic powers off, but subtracting 1 against the fluff of where Shadow in the Warp was, I'd like to have seen it a little bit more significant. Maybe subtracting at least 1 from each dice. So, in other words, -2 would have had, maybe, I don't know. Maybe 1's enough just to tip the scale, though, to change the averages on your success rate significantly enough. Synapse is interesting, and I'm not confused by it. I've worked it out. So we have the ability to automatically pass a morale test if you're within 12 inch of a synapse creature. But what's interesting, so that's a boost on range. So 18 inch as opposed to 12 inch for Shadows in the Warp. 12 inch as opposed to 8 inch on Synapse. And then this is the stinger. This is really cool for us Tyranid players. Instinctive behavior only kicks in now when you're if you are outside of 24 inch of a Synapse unit. So whilst it's 12 inch to gain from the automatically passing morale, you don't suffer from instinctive behavior until you go outside of 24 inch. So it's going to be a lot easier to cover. And even then, if you're outside of Synapse range and you are into instinctive behavior, it's -1 to hit when shooting, and you must target shooting any target other than the nearest enemy, sorry. And you must subtract 2 from the charge roll if it declares a charge against another unit than the nearest enemy unit. So again, what instinctive behavior does is essentially, to a degree, if you want to go unpunished, is to go for the nearest units. Other than that, you've got to take a risk either on your charge range or you've got to take a risk on shooting. Interestingly enough, doesn't seem to have any detrimental impact in combat. Boom. So yeah, a lot of interesting stuff. I'm going to move on from the community though at this stage. And let's just get back to the chat for a minute, but 16 minutes in, that's not too bad. And then we'll have a little chat about tables and see what you guys have got to say. So as ever, I've been a bit lazy, so at Wargamer Online, help me spot those questions. Otherwise we can spend the entire night me reading through chat, which is cool. If you're cool, I'm cool. But let's have a look and see what we've got going off now. Right. Oh, okay. A lot of Sam love, a lot of Beard love. Vaughn Killian has joined us. Howdy guys. Hey Vaughn, how you doing? Kablams, what's the crack with the Halloween special? Well, we don't, you know what? I can kind of make out it's a secret. But the truth is, I don't think we've actually worked it out yet. So we've got 2 or 3 options, and we haven't really sat down to work out what we're going to do. We're thinking about doing a live streaming game, possibly. But then we're worried that we won't really either focus on the game or focus on the chat, which is what our live shows are meant to be a little bit about. We could do some hobby, but then our worry is we don't get a lot of hobby done and we just end up chatting. And I think this is most likely the thing that's going to happen is I think we should just descend into a bit of a talk show with a vague attempt at playing a game and maybe a little bit of hobby thrown in between. But predominantly, let's just see what happens on the chat, and maybe we do a Q&A to the WGO team, so people could just ask questions of every member of the Wargamer Online team and see if we could do that. So we've got a bunch of options. I'm relaxed enough to just hit go start stream and see what happens, but maybe some planning needs to be done. Okay, what else have we got? Looking forward to the Halloween special. So am I. I can't wait to find out what it's going to be about. Coleman's just arrived. I think I'm jumping backwards and forwards on the chat. Let me put a little marker there. Listener, what are your thoughts on the GW painting handle? I think I've just said that. I actually think at £5, I was surprised at that. I could have seen them easily charging £12 to £15 for that. At £5, that looks perfectly reasonable, and especially if you combine it with corks or you paint your models on their base. You know, there's a lot of people saying, well, I like to paint mine in batch, but it takes 2 seconds to swap it over on handle. I use these things, which I'm really fond of, and I think I picked these up from Green Stuff World, and it's really horrible because I can't actually remember 100% where I got them from. But it's Green Stuff World, and that works with a little split cork. There you go. So a lot of my models are on, you know, little rods, either pins or cocktail sticks is my favorite. You clamp it between it, you press it down there, and what I really like about that one is you can kind of brace it in the palm of your. I'm trying to reverse it like that, but you'd brace it into palm of your hand, and then when you're painting, you've got a lot of, you know, stability. I do like the fact you can kind of reach over the model, but obviously it has limitations on the height of your model. When I bought it, there was actually a set of 2, so they came with different sizes. And as you can see, there's actually what's left of a cocktail stick there, where once there was a model attached. So I like those. They were certainly more than £5 each. I'm pretty certain of it. So for me, good value for money so far. I'm sure. What else have we got? It's not covering up your new Codex smile and the beard. No, it's not. I've got a big smile about that Codex. We need more Blood Raven stuff. Okay. You know what? I think I'm going to have to go and do Primaris Blood Ravens. I think that's going to have to be the way, isn't it? It's the only way we're going to be able to deal with this, I think. Unless we can get somebody else from the WGO team to do it. Sam wants 5 of those handles. There you go. He's already thinking, essentially, rather than swap the corks out, he's just going to have tons of them. Nurgle rules. Wash the unclean. Elster Nation's joining us, evening, Elster. I don't think I can go too far without thanking Elster Nation for the work he's doing on my Gene Stealer cult at the moment. Absolutely stunning work. So thank you very much, Elster Nation. I was blown away by them when I saw them on Facebook the other day. So thank you very much. What else have we got? What did they do with commissars? Did they fix the conscript issue? Oh, I know. Is there a new FAQ? I've not checked that. Robbie Cohen, Wargamer Online. Do you think commercial gaming tables are worth it, or should I look at customizing or modding a standard table? Well, thank you for that. That's a question actually attached to the subject matter as well of today. So let's cover that a little bit, and let's talk through maybe the options. What have we got? You know what? Maybe that's a good... Liam's got Blood Ravens Primaris. Notice me, Sampai. No, Liam, you haven't got Blood Ravens, have you? Have you? I've never seen your Blood Ravens. I think you're just making that up. You'll have to prove that to me. Crikey, there's been a whole bunch of chat. This has gone a bit crazy. So, right, what shall I do? There was a question in here from, do you think vehicle ruins and scenes of light dead soldiers in a pose add to the grim darkness of the game, e.g. dead marine squad next to a destroyed rhino? Absolutely. Absolutely, on a board, I would agree with that. Funny when Phil used his camera as a mirror to make sure his beard was sorry about that. I just, I figured, I don't know, I'll just flip the camera on. I kind of half believe nobody's out there watching this stuff anyway. I think this is all Sam with like 1,000 profiles just making me feel happy. Okay. Back to the question from Robbie then. Do I think commercial gaming tables are worth it, or should I look at customizing or modding a standard table? Well, let's talk through some of the options, I suppose. At the end of the day, I think there's a couple of things that may sway you on that one way or another. Is the simplest modification you could do to a table is to go down to, ideally, that you can get to a DIY shop who sells 2 things, either sheet material in the right size or have a cutting service. So there's a good point. I will use, we have in the UK something called B&Q. I'm not sure they're global or not. You'd have to excuse me, but you will have the equivalent, which is a big DIY chain store. And a lot of the larger stores have cutting tables. So you can go for the 8x4 sheet of MDF and have it cut down to size so you can tile it together. If it's going on a standard dining table, probably the sizes to go for is essentially 2 foot by 4 foot is the way to go. And then you can just put 3 of them together or 2 of them together on top of a dining table, and it will give you the space. Other than that, it's into you how much DIY you're prepared to do and how far are you going to take it, because I'll show you 3 examples of tables I've built tonight, and we'll have a look at the differences involved. Maybe that's a good place to start. So, right, can I actually do this? Okay, here we go. On a bit of a limb here, but let's have a look. So this, 4 years ago now, when 4 or 5 years ago when I got back into the hobby, this was my attempt at a modular gaming table. I wanted something that would pack away. I know that photo is blurred, I'm sorry about it. But I wanted something that would pack away. So I designed these 2x4 sections, each with a ridge supporting them to give them stability, a central block, and then screw on table legs. Basically, you just threaded those on. You could take the legs off and pack it away. On its own, it looks incredibly unstable, of course, which it is. They've only got 2 legs per segment. But the point is, the minimum you would do was put 2 segments together. There's little metal clips there that would clip the 2 tables segments together, nice and tight, so they fit nice and snug, and that essentially then created a 4-leg table. Each table had a little ridge around the end, and this is a classic example of what I was talking about. I'd gone down to the B&Q, I'd had sheets of MDF cut to exactly the right size, which I think is 61 centimeters wide and 220 long, 1220 sorry long, and that gave me exactly what I was looking for to fit at the time the Games Workshop boards in and give me a little bit of a ridge to hold them nice and snug. And there's an example of the two sections together. So there's two of these, and you'll notice there is another 1, 2, 3. There's a bunch of them there because I had all the material done, and even these outer edge bits were all done by the kind man at B&Q, who I gave him a bunch of measurements, and I think these were about 8 centimeters high. You know, allowing for like a 1 centimeter lip around the edge. There was 2 centimeters. I think was roughly the thickness of the table. It was a little bit less, and then it just gave that bit of stability underneath. What was nice about this was, ignore the fact what's going off here. This is me making custom cracked scenery for a snowboard that I was building at the time. What was nice about this modular system was you could pop them apart, and then I made these joining sections which didn't have the ridge on either end. So you'll notice there's no ridge to stop there, and that would just insert in between. The clips were still available on each one, and it kind of done like magnetization. You know, I just made sure the alignment of the clips, you know, each, you had to kind of think of it in circles. So every left hand clip was the main part of the clip, and every right hand bit was the hook for the clip to go through. So as long as you kind of walk around the table going left, right, left, right, left, right, you could kind of work out which clip orientated, which meant I could basically keep extending these as much as I want. So there's a 6x4 section. And again, with these middle sections, what I actually did was move the legs wider, because I knew that, you know, it would need more stability as it was being built. And what was great about it was, once I'd worked out, hold on a second, if I've done all of these clips, there's nothing stopping me simply adding another pair of clips. So this is a 6x4 table and an end piece, which then gave a place for armies to be deployed and stuff. So that, I think, oh, there's a 6x4 section again. In fact, actually, that's a 4x4 table with an extended piece on the end. That was my first table. So this is what I built, and that lasted me, I think, probably a couple of years. And then I decided to up the game a little bit on the table, and I wanted to build a whole set of furniture to go into the room, and I sold that table for a bargain price. And I don't know whether I listed it on eBay. I think I actually sold the Games Workshop Realm of Battle and threw the table in with it. So more or less is how it worked out. So that went off to a good home, and somewhere out there is somebody hopefully still getting a lot of use out of that table system. Right, before we move on to the middle table, let's catch up with a little bit of chat then. Are commercial tables worth it? Well, I mean, like, that wasn't a huge amount of DIY, but it does require a little bit of skill. It's obviously a step up from just putting boards on top of a dining table. But, you know, it wasn't a huge job, and it was a lot of fun to do, and it worked exactly how I wanted it. There are a lot of commercial options out, like the folding tables and stuff, and I think we'll fast forward to the one I've just built. They didn't quite do what I wanted them to do. I wanted it to pack away and look like a piece of furniture. That was one of the things I was looking for. And a lot of those modular gaming tables, they do indeed pack away, but they pack away and look like a folded up table. Right. Oh, right. Sam's dealing with some questions. That's cool. That's a 6x4 table, correct? Yes, if you were to do 3 sections of 2x4, but I'm not quite sure whether I'm answering whose question or whatever. Right. Retep 1001. Do you think GW is going to ruin the NID, or are they going to get as broken as other old Codex releases or release codexes? I don't think they're going to ruin them. Hopefully there's going to be a lot of flavor and a lot of fun. I've really enjoyed how they've done the Eldar Codex. I mean, I've got Bealtan, and I haven't worried too much that, I haven't got the Ulfweave powers and all the rest. I rolled with Bealtan, and I took a chunk of Shuriken with me, and Shuriken cannons are just insane when you're hitting on 3s and re-rolling 1s. So I'm hoping for a lot of fun like that with NIDs. I'm pretty confident. At the moment, I'm pretty confident. Based on what I've seen in the Eldar Codex, I'm pretty confident. And I think NIDs deserve a good codex, don't they? They really do. Kablams, they fixed it. You made it so you get to re-roll after losing a member of the squad, but doesn't make them immune to morale, which is now great. I'm not quite sure that's the fix that everyone was looking for, though. I wonder if they'll do a fix, which is something in between. We'll see. Right, okay, what else are we going off? I'm looking for questions really to help me catch up with this, but I thought the handle would be more expensive, so it looks like there's a bunch of agreement on that. That's coming from Big Mac, Al Kirkman. I have to help with my great granddaughter's second, great 2 and 4-year-old. Oh dear, Al. Good luck with that, 2 and 4-year-old. And I think there was a question there saying, reluctant to get the handle. This is Kablam Zoro, not a question. Reluctant to get the handle because of how I interlock my fingers when painting. Not sure I'll be able to do that with this. Exactly. Fell Hates joined the chat as well. Hey, Fell, hey, how you doing? Reaper. So Reaper 28 is asking, Synapse creatures, in my opinion, should be a big boon, e.g. +1 attack for each unit in 12-inch, but if killed, every Tyranid in 6-inch takes a strength or armor hit. Yeah, I like that. I like that. That's a nice idea. I mean, like I say, I think it's one of those things on a D6 game system. 1 or 2 moves, such as, you know, -1 to hit in shooting or -2 inches on charge, have a massive difference. -1 on psychic powers, don't know. Maybe it's just enough to tip a lot of those psychic enemies against you, but we'll see. We'll see. Any chance to try Shadespire yet, Sam? That's with Sam, so maybe he will and won't answer. Reaper again. Do you think vehicle ruins and scenes? I think I've answered that one, so apologies. I seem to have gone back up. Here we go. Dipimus Maximus, live pumpkin carving. That would be pretty cool, actually, wouldn't it? That would be cool. Right, okay, Primaris Blood Ravens. Nothing wrong with blending guys. I think there's a whole bunch of stuff going off there. Liam's got Blood Ravens. Inspirational Mini's joined us. Hey, Inspirational Mini, how you doing? Do you know that Monday Musing counts as one of your 5 a day? Oh, bless. Thanks, Akari. I like to feel I'm sustaining people at least for 20% of their required hobby input a day. I could never afford a proper produced gaming table, and I need to be able to flat pack whatever I use for extra space for army trays and dice trays is something I'm finding useful. Well, that's a good one. That's maybe. Oh my goodness me, the chat's going crazy tonight. Let's have a look at the second table I built, and I want to try and get through these so we can have 10 or 15 minutes at the end to kind of talk through. Oh, I'm trying to operate a computer and think tonight, and it's not doing so well, is it? Yeah, so we can just go back through the chat and see what people. I'd like to get their opinions of what makes a good gaming table. Right, okay, I'm really struggling to find it now. I knew this would happen. Here we go. We're here. Right, this one was a little bit more ambitious. Here we go. So difficult to make out, but this was designed as an entire modular piece of scenery, which was all built again around 2-foot square sections of a table. So that's interestingly enough. I do this a lot of the time when I'm planning. I think about the kind of end result before I even start going from the beginning. So the whole thing was designed around, can I store possibly 4 boards in one piece of furniture? And this was the theory. If I can fit a board on this side, a board on that side, and have 2 drawers which can contain 2 sets of scenery, one for each board, then I can design a gaming table that can hold 4 different distinct boards, was the idea. So you can see the framework going together. There's little slots in here, so I could like align the boards and all the rest. Each of these tables was a 2x4. So I got in my mind of these 2 pieces of furniture that were on wheels and could rotate around and butt together, giving you the 4x4. But I also wanted to be able to have the option to extend out to an 8x4, which is what these sliding rail options were being built here. I'm not going to go too much into the construction, but essentially making these pull-out arms, which were made out of very strong wood around lead ply as well. So there you can see the kind of carcass coming together. This top area here is where that mechanism is. The drawer runners are here, and again the 2 sections for each table. And as you can see now, a lot of clamping going off, getting these carcasses together with their slide out unit and all the rest. And as you can see, this is the first bit. So this is you know, now I'm trying out these. And again, bear in mind that there's 2 of these sitting back to back, so when you pull one of these rods out and pull the next rod out, there would be enough for a leaf, if you like, an extra 2x4 leaf to sit on. So I keep pushing away on this, keep making sure that the table would fit in at all times. Now we're getting the top section on. And this was all scraps of wood as well. I managed to pick up this wood secondhand, and it was all scraps of wood, so that's why it's got varnish on and stuff like that. And it was, I think it was a sort of oak coated MDF. And as you can see, it's sort of clamping down on top of that mechanism once I was happy it was working. And yes, it was terrifying to glue that top on, because I knew if my mechanism got stuck, I'd be really upset. This is the first test with what a 2x4 leaf would look like on the end. So you've got this section here, which is your 4x4 section. The 2x4 section here, you'll notice it's a bit wider. And here I am messing around with some LED systems. Here I am making sure that the table actually fits. Admittedly, they're resting on top of a clamp, but I just wanted to make sure it was going to work, because I'm starting to box off these side pieces here. And I started to create, as Kablam's mentioned, some place to put dice and trays and those kind of things. And there's a bit of oak finishing going off now. I'm just trying to tidy all of this up, and to get the measurements perfect as well to take the table. So this needed an extra little edge on it. As you can see now, I'm getting cup holders in there because Sam likes to have his glass of warm milk when he's gaming. So he needed somewhere to put his warm milk. I put my dice in there, so it was designed to hold the Citadel dice cups by interestingly enough. And I'm just going to clip through again, little test, making sure the leaf works. There's the 6x4 table. Things are working out quite well so far. And that's how it looks. There's no legs supporting that at all. They're on these really strong bits of oak, so you could just pull them out and put the leaf on, and there was still plenty of room to put your army boxes underneath. And yes, more work, and I think now you've got an idea. This is one unit here, and that's the other unit there. So these were designed to go side by side underneath the desk, and as you can see, I'm sort of finalizing now the shape and size of these two leaves. And then importantly, starting to route in details. I have to say, possibly overthought this a little bit, but I wanted things like objective cards to stand upright, and mission cards and psychic powers to stand upright. I wanted the dice trays in there, and I think this was designed as well for you to slot your iPads in if you're a modern gamer. And you'll notice there's even little USB charging ports, because the whole table, if you can see a little cable running off here, can be powered. Both light up and provide power to the devices that you're plugging in. As you can see, the lights lighting up, so when you pull the trays out, you can see what's going on. So as you can see, this is definitely now into the realms of, I'm not sure I'm saving much money here, but I'm having a lot of fun building furniture. Now I'm building the edge to hold all the tables in and stop dice rolling off the edge. And there's a good kind of image of it in progress, really. You can see now how this ridge sits all the way around the table. And for those of you who watch the battle reports on the channel, this is actually the furniture we still use. We still store 4 tables in there, although we have other tables now in a little storeroom as well. But predominantly what you see in the battle reports is this table in use. So this started off as furniture at my house, got moved over to the studio. As you can see, I'm adding little bits of detail, making sure things like the lights work and all the rest. And yeah, lots and lots of clamps, lots and lots of wood glue, lots and lots of photos. And here you see a kind of idea of the 2 pieces stood side by side. And the way that was designed to work was, once you've got them in place, I had this big long desk along the back here, and they would slide away underneath the desk. This is Jack, much younger, as you can see, setting up for a game. And there it is as a 6x4 table, little locking mechanism there to stop the leaves moving away. It's all been sanded down now and rounded off and all the rest. But there's no table, there's no doors, and there's no drawers at the moment. So I'm going to fast forward a little bit. You can see all of this. This is me trying things out. I think we were already gaming on it before it was complete. There's the dice trays, so that's where you roll, but that's where you store your dice as well, was the idea. And now I start to build the drawers. And the great thing about these drawers is each one of these drawers is 2 foot by 2 foot, and you've got approximately 1 foot in height as well. You wouldn't believe how much scenery you can fit into this table. It's insane. Well, there you go. That's how much scenery you can fit into the table. And there's 2 boards there. There was the ice board and there was the city board. So all of that going in, getting the lights in. It looks amazing when it's lit up, by the way. Super cyberpunk. And as you can see, that was the idea, that they go into these and then push to the side, and we've got 2 painting stations there. Getting the draw fronts on. Look at all that city scenery. It's insane. We so need to get that painted for the channel. Getting more doors on. And I think more or less we're getting to a point. There you are. That's how the final units looked. That's what they were like when you were opening the doors up to hold the tables. And there's one last shot of the whole setup. So I have to say, this was probably the most extreme version of hobby scenery, hobby furniture. Let's go back to the chat before we go on to my much more slimlined version of a gaming table. Let's see what people are saying anyway. Right, Ikaria is saying, I hope you will all be in fancy dress tomorrow. Well, I think some of us might be. I'm not quite sure if everybody's going to be. We'll see. Inspirational mini. Oh dear me. Oh no, the chat's done its usual jigger jump. So it's all gone and it's jumped up to the top and it's jumped down to the bottom and it's jigging about like crazy. Hold on a second. Right, here we go. I would say if we could get 40 likes, Sam has to do a show after Phil's. Oh, come on, you have a day off tomorrow. Well, Sam is going to be here. So one of the things we've suggested doing is just running for an extra hour. I don't know. We'll just see how the night goes. I'm happy to run for a couple of hours tomorrow. As long as I'm moving about, and I'll have somebody here to take over from me if my back's bad as well, so I can jump around. So we'll see how long tomorrow night's show lasts. We'll see. Okay, Robbie's saying he might have to pop down to B&Q. He's got a week off. What kind of wood do I use? Well, the first option was all made out of MDF for cheap. It's super cheap. You know, you can get 2 sheets of that for about £30 in the UK, and that was all cut to size. So all I had to do was wood glue and screw. You know, the legs were from IKEA, but you know, again, you could just use bits of wood. Certainly, plywood is preferable. The second one I've just shown was made out of predominantly the carcass was made out of plywood, so there would there'd be no warping in that main carcass because they had to take a lot of weight. You have to remember that there's 4 tables in there and all of their scenery and the whole mechanism. So the first one was MDF, the second one was a combination of plywood and oak coat MDF, but I have to say the oak coated MDF really is just the top surface and the side panels. So it's a bit of a combination, and it's because I could get that essentially for second hand, so it was worth doing just for that oak finish. But you could make it all out of MDF and just paint it. I think painted MDF looks absolutely fine. Robbie Cohen talking about terrain. Most of my terrain building from Terrain Builder. Terrain Tutor, sorry. Oh yeah, he's a smart chap. He's I love his channel as well, so yeah, check him out at some point definitely if you don't already know. What else have we got going off? In fact, I tend to watch his Sunday shows, I think. Right, Reaper 28. One question: is it bolted down? Which one? The big table? The big table definitely doesn't need to be bolted down. You can actually lock the wheels to stop it rolling. I got rid of that because it just wasn't necessary. Coleman, I think Phil could do with a WGO branded lumberjack flannel shirt instead of a hoodie. I know, I like, oh, there's a bit of fluff on my hoodie. This camera's so bad it shows the dog hairs and everything. I should just do a Sam and show up in what looked like nightclub wear. Great storage and adaptability. Light show too. Las Vegas. Oh, right, okay. I'm not quite sure what's going off now. Wow, the second board is awesome. That's from Jim Wilson. Thank you very much. Well, that's become the main studio board now, and it's a lot of, yeah, it's getting a lot of use, which is good. Right, what else have we going off? More craziness in the chat. Right, okay. I'm lost now. Let me see. Missing one thing, LEDs in the main pocket. Not sure about, well, you know what, I don't even know, so let's just move on. Holy mackerel, Phil, this is from Kebabs. I love your work. I wish my stuff wasn't so dodgy looking. Hey, well, I don't think yours is alright. I like the work you did on your gaming, your painting station and game table was awesome. Right, okay then, Coleman, here we go. I would, it looks awesome, thank you. You know what? I think there's a lot of chat going off between people, which is always fun because I don't have to do any work. You guys are just keeping yourself entertained. Deadman's Maximum. I've seen some gaming tables that builds that incorporate large screen TVs to use with stuff like Roll20 and proper RPG mats and stuff. Yeah, I've seen that, and I think it's a good idea nowadays. I mean, if you can obviously afford, or if you can pick up an old sort of 42-inch TV and stuff like that, even one of the older ones. I think it's a good idea. The only thing is the backlight sort of thing, but obviously, given that compared to say just the versatility of that board would be a brilliant idea. Right, here we go. Akaria, amazing work. Those tables are phenomenal. Thank you very much. Not bolted. I know what I'm getting gifted this weekend. Okay, fair enough. Wargamer Online, thanks for answering my question. You have given me a lot of different options to think about. Oh, no problem at all. Phil, we ain't ignoring you. Just trust me, we're listening. Thanks, Bernard. I appreciate that. Stalker 40k's got to go. He's got an early start tomorrow, but you'll watch back. Really want a gaming table at home, something you've not had for years. Looking forward to tomorrow's show as well. Well, come back and check out the last table because I'm going to cover that now. And thank you for joining me so far, by the way. I appreciate you've got to go, so that's cool. But come back and check out the last table because I do think I've possibly hit something that's useful for most people now. So, right. And maybe on that, without further ado, let's just have a look at the last table. Now, for those of you who are friends with me on Facebook, you already have seen a lot of this because I was uploading all of these images to an album on my Facebook group. But this all started off as I had an idea for essentially a wall unit, which would have two shelves, a space for a TV, and a fold-away gaming table. And the idea was that it would use these wonderful little hinges that I discovered, which lock at 90 degrees. So the whole thing would be in 3 layers like that. The whole thing would swing out, and then in a concertina zigzag way, using countertop hinges, I could either have it as a 4x4 or then lift up this extra leaf here to make a 6x4. So that's where I started off, and over the last few days, mainly driven by the impetus that we need to get this stuff sorted as fast as possible for the Halloween special. I started with a really quick option, really. These were 3 tables bought from IKEA for £15. And they're exactly sort of 60 centimeters by 120. So they're just shy of 2 foot by 4 foot, but we're talking half an inch. So I'm not too worried about that. Again, this is, I don't think what's half an inch between friends, really. Although I have come up with a way if you wanted to extend the end, which we'll come back to the end. So this was quite simply a case of getting some countertop hinges. And for anybody who's interested, by the way, I'll probably do a quick video or at least an article on the website which kind of talks through where I got the materials from, where I bought them from, and what they look like. By countertop hinges, I mean basically hinges that can completely fold back on themselves, but also lock at 180 degrees. So they give you a hell of a lot of stability. Now, admittedly, you've got to use some equipment to get this in. I needed to route them level, but there's ways around that. You can chisel them and all the rest, and I use the router. The important thing is I align the hinges where IKEA would normally want you to fit the legs. And the reason I did that is because the place where IKEA asks you to fit the legs is, I know from experience, they stick a solid block of chipboard in the center of it. So it's the best place to do any work. So there you go. You can see it's a complex little thing to make space for these countertop hinges. But I made a little template and routed it all out, and I was cooking on Gas Mark 5. Then it was a question of good old MDF for a backboard and just oak coated chipboard, basically. Really, really cheap. These lengths, they were 8 foot long, and I think I paid about £4.50 a length. So absolutely cheap, and I only needed, I think, 5 lengths in total. So far I've spent £45 on the IKEA tables, and I spent about £25 on the oak wood on the side here. And it's just a question of, I'm going to jump through all this a little bit Because, you know, going back to that original diagram I showed you, this was the bottom bit. I wanted to be able to store the legs once all this goes away. So the whole objective of this table is something that folds away, that just looks like it's a piece of wall furniture, like a shelving unit or something like that. So first things first, I need a place to store the 4 legs. That's also convenient as well, because each piece, when it's vertical, is only 2 foot deep. And really, you know, that gave me about 10 centimeters in play if I wanted to this be the height of a normal table. So as you can see, I made this in one huge unit. That was a terrible, terrible mistake. The first thing I did once I realized how hard it was going to be maneuvering around is I actually cut it in half. We'll talk about that later. Well, there you go. There it is, cut in half. This is the zigzag of the tables mounted, and that's the bottom half of the unit. And there is the first attempt at deploying the table. There's those little hinges squirreled away in there. You can just see them locking in place. These are little additions I had to make to be able to pull the table out. I absolutely love this table. This is it as a full unit. So I'm sat here right now, and you're looking at me through that little doohickey there. Isn't it marvelous? So there it is in place. A little hook there made out of oak, and it's been tidied up since. And again, storage as well for game mats, which I think is great. And then I got poor old Sarah to take a bunch of photos of me. So I apologize for this, but I wanted to be able to demonstrate how it works. And as you can see, I'm pretty happy about this. And in the space of a couple of minutes, grab hold of these bottom little pulleys, and I pull it and open it up. The dog gets involved because she loves anything that moves and makes a clicky noise. And by love, I mean she bites and chews it. And then she's right in there. Look, why are the legs under there? She's saying the legs are no good down there. This is the great thing about those hinges. They lock at 90 degrees. So already the first third of the table is supported. Doesn't actually need legs at all, which is fantastic. Dog's very happy about this, crawling away underneath. Then you kind of pull up the top halves, and this is what those second 2 pulleys were about. And as you can see, it folds up, and all you've got to do is open that up, and because they are countertop hinges, they will lock in place, which is fantastic. And then what I did with this was I just had some really, really cheap legs with a little dowel inserted in the top, and then, believe it or not, 4 magnets around the dowel hole. So all I do is pop that in, and they magnetize into place. And then I start to lower it down, and then the dog charges across and knocks one of the legs out. But the dog was uninjured. I have to say, no dogs were injured in the making of this slideshow. Put the leg back in. Dog's told to go away for a bit. She's now hiding behind me. Look, you can see she's fine. Look, she's perfectly fine. Lower the legs down. That locks in place. This hinges stop it opening anything more than 180, so it can't fold in on itself. It's supported very well against this unit. And then all you do if you want a 4x4 table is lower that section down. As you can see, the dog's perfectly fine, if not somewhat suspicious about the legs. Good news is, if you want to go for a 6x4 table, just pop that up, slip 2 legs underneath, and you've got a 6x4 table. And literally in the space I've told you about this is how long it takes to deploy. So going from a piece of furniture up against the wall to having a 6x4 table out is about 30 seconds. You just fold it out, stick the legs on, and then you're rolling your gaming mat out, or whatever game. The reason I've gone for gaming mats again is just storage. It's really great. You saw the other table where you had the 2x2 sections. They're really heavy, they're really bulky. You've got to find space for them. Gaming mat packs away in seconds. Great stuff. And as you can see, I put an avatar of Kane on there and some crazy light up video scenery I'm working on at the moment, which has got a whole bunch of billboards. I think some of you people have seen that on the chat. As you can see, the dog is now super happy, perfectly recovered from the trauma. And this was the real stress test. There are no legs under that section at all. And I'm leaning down with the full mighty weight of my beard onto this table, and that was a real stress test. I just wanted to try it. I thought, I'm a nutter for trying to test things to destruction, so I just leaned on the table as hard as I could. I wouldn't say I'd climb onto it, but it's certainly going to take a bulky man leaning on the table so he can reach his miniatures across the other side. And there you go, packing them away. Take the legs off, fold that section down, lift it up, take the other 2 legs off, lower that down into section. Really nice bit there. You see how it just misses this gap here as it folds in. That's where I made the join. I could tidy it up a little bit, but I'm quite happy, to be honest. You know, I'm happy with it. If I was doing it again, I'd work, you know, I would have actually cut that earlier and got neater cuts on it, but for now it's fine. That drops into place. As you can see, the great news is it still sort of sits there because it's on those locking hinges. Legs go away in the storage underneath, which is all good news. Press the buttons on the locking hinges, drop it into place, turn the little catch. The dog's perfectly happy everything's gone away and promptly attacks my ears. So, super happy. That's a terrible face on my part. Just type any name. Just put bad face. There you go. Oh, there's a whole bunch of bad face people in the world. So there you go. Why all the planning at the beginning? Well, these were all drawn to size, which I knew if the hinge was here and that would lift up, it would clear this shelf here. So that was the idea. I think the plan is, just to jump back to a bit, I might make and airbrush some backboards here to go behind the gaming table. So when it folds out, it goes behind. And the good news is any backboards I make, I can store up on this top shelf here, along with some of that lovely flat pack scenery that's coming out as well. So if I can find that now, I've already lost it because I got too excited. So yes, I could fit certainly a whole pocket full of some of that scenery up there as well, which would be really nice. So there you go, really. What makes a good gaming table for me then, and then maybe for you guys, is what makes a good gaming table for me is one that I think best supports your needs. When I had space and when it wasn't about the channel, I made a huge piece of furniture that allowed us to store the table and the boards and the scenery and everything, and it was fantastic. But they were huge, bulky pieces of furniture. Right now, because this room is getting converted into a room and I've had to give up 4 foot of the room because it's going to become a corridor, I've had to sort of condense things together, and space is a bit more of a premium. I think it's important to say that, you know, back to that, just give me a second actually, because I just want to show one image right back at the beginning. If you go back to this image, then actually you could lose this top bit. That's unnecessary. And imagine if this was a wall, which it will be, by the way, as soon as the builders come around and start building a wall, which, by the way, the builders is me. So as soon as I start building a wall there, you could lose this top section here, and it's just a piece of furniture that sits alongside the wall, really no deeper than a radiator. It's 6 inches deep. The whole thing fits inside something that's 15 centimeters out from the wall. So to have a 6 foot by 4 foot gaming table that can go just 6 inches hugging a wall, and then you can use the room for anything else, it's the kind of thing that should be commercially available. And I know there are commercially available tables, but wouldn't it be great if IKEA just made that furniture so you could just buy it from IKEA and just stick it together following really bad instructions? If not, I just need to go into business routing out the hinges for everyone, because that is literally the most technical aspect of that build. That was the hardest bit. It was just routing out those hinges. I have thought of an alternative to those hinges, so you wouldn't have to go as crazy. And if I can get this up, I'm just gonna, you know what, I don't mind running 5 minutes over if you guys don't mind running 5 minutes over. So let me just, I should have thought of this actually. There we go. So these are, and again, I'm not supporting any particular manufacturer, but here we have baseboard hinges. So if you look at this, for anybody who's ever done any wallpapering, essentially you could just screw these on the side of those IKEA tables and it would do exactly the same job as I've just shown you. You don't have to do that routing out the hole. If you don't mind, admittedly, one would poke down, so that's fine. But obviously on the other one, if you want the Z to work the other direction, that would poke up. So you're going to have it there. But, you know, it might catch the odd dice. That's all you need. It's and that requires no real specialist tools. You would buy 3 of those tables from IKEA at £15 each. Two sets of those hinges. Which what are they? $5.99 in the UK, so $5.99. And by the way, there may be some other options. I've noticed there's some folding stuff there as well, but I think that's probably because all you would do is literally screw those through to the side of the table. There's no real specialist tools required, and you could put that unit together. Right. Okay, let's catch up with the chat, see what people are saying, and hopefully someone's told me what their perfect gaming table is. But right now, I think for me, where I am in my life and in my room, I've got a feeling I've built the perfect gaming table right now. Okay. Right, okay. Kablams. Yep, thanks, Phil. No problem at all, mate. Compliment well deserved. And here we go. Sam Stocks. Oh, saying goodbye to people. See Mawson, what have I missed? Well, I'm assuming, seeing as though I hadn't seen that comment, you missed the first two tables and have come in for the last one. But welcome to the chat. Feel free to rewind and catch up when it's all uploaded. It will be there shortly. Oh, right, Akaria. Oh, we're keeping everybody up to date. Sam's now up to 26 Citadel painting handles. 26? No, he'll keep it to unit size, so that will be 30. Okay, what have we got? Just ordered a dozen painting handles, a dozen budget painting handles, aka corks. Exactly. That's your other option, isn't it? Okay, Speedy Stocks. I use cork and it gets stuck on. And get stuck was on. I'm confused now. I use corks, I use whiskey corks, or I just use big corks I picked up on eBay with big blobs of blue tack. Saying that, I've got to say that handle looks good and it's not a bad price, but it's certainly, I wouldn't do it the way Sam's proposing there, where you've got like one under like 5 or 6 or 7 models. I think it would take a second to swap each model out. Mind you, then again, you know, if it's wet and you're doing washes and stuff. You're right, Sam. We need about 100 each. C. Mawson. Sometimes I wonder if GW observe hobby groups and then hold a business meeting asking, how can we sell something that does the same thing for 20 times the cost? Can you imagine if they release my Z-Bed gaming table for like, how much could you sell that gaming table for if you were a Games Workshop? But, you know, they should talk to somebody. They honestly should. I think they should talk to a furniture manufacturer. It's Philip Action. What do you have for him, Jim? Lol. I'm utterly confused. You know what? Because I'm trying to just cut down to the anything aimed at me. It's so confusing sometimes. Right. Okay. What have we got? Guys, do you think the Eldar Craftworld Codex will be better than the Astra Militarum Codex? Based on my game at the weekend, then yes. But that was Jack's first game with the Astra Militarum Codex as well. So, who knows? Sorry, is the black part ATV? Yes, it was. Yes, it was. Here we go. The Eldar Codex will be much better if you play Eldar. Wonderful, Derpamus. Thank you very much. Oh boy, so the answer is Phil makes a great gaming table. No, well, I think the point I'm trying to make and showing you those hinges on Amazon, and you know, that was 3. I think what I'd gone through was making something from scratch. From version 1 was making something from scratch in MDF. Version 2 was making something from scratch, which was incredibly complex and lots of weeks of work, to something I've put together in 2 nights. And I admit the routing, okay, no, not everybody will have that piece of kit. But you take those pasteboard hinges, you get 4 screws on each end, you fasten them into 2 sets of those boards, and you get some cheap legs from IKEA or off of Amazon, and you are up and running with a table that folds away and sits up against the wall. You don't even have to build that outer frame piece if you don't want to. You could go back to the leg option that I showed you on the first one, you know, where the leg's just going into the base, but we'll see. We're here in hope we're going to run a few minutes over. I'm already 5 minutes over, so that's good. Let's see. In America, though, how much did this cost? Well, if we're talking about the last gaming table, let me think about that. That was, I think, all in all, it was less than £60 for everything. So £60 to American dollars, 60 British pound to American dollars. I'm guessing that's about $80 at the moment, but I don't know because the pound's been crazy against the dollar, up and down and all over the place. But yeah, something like that. Kablams! I need your last table. It's so much quicker and neater to deploy. You don't miss somewhere. You don't miss somewhere to put your army dead pile and books on the newest table. Well, on the newest table. Ooh, don't I miss somewhere to put books and stuff? Well, I mean, you know, you may have seen from that furniture, we've got, it's right next to my desk, so I can just put all of that stuff on the desk. That's fine. And like I say, really, space-wise, I don't mind it. A lot of the time, though, when we're just having a friendly game, I have to say we play 4x4. A lot of the time, it will be a sub 1500 point game on 4x4. And because we do that, you've got the bottom, you know, you've got the N2 2x4 section which you can use. That table from Games Workshop, at least £150. Diaphanous Maximus, I claim this table for the chapter. The shelf under the monitor is an extra table as 4x4 is being used. That's true. Right, okay then. Reaper, I would say £500. Okay, what have we got on now? You might see Mawson, you might be right. I'm vastly underestimating pricing technique, lol. Icaria, Bosch or Black & Decker? Well, that's a tool question. Can you ask me a tool question? Depends on the tool. There you go. I have a Bosch planer. I have Black & Decker drills. So if I was going to choose Bosch, there you go. What else have we got? That works, Brother Phil. Thank you. No problem, Bernard. Wargamer Online. Would it be worth trying to build? Would we be worth trying as build MacBoy style with a hammer and adjustable spanner? I don't think those hinges would stay on board if you just hammer and nailed them in. If you could hammer the screws in at least, then there might be the some thread might just attach. Adjustable spanner. Yeah, no. You're going to need a screwdriver. At some point, a screwdriver is going to come into play. Here we go. Reaper. My best gaming table would be a table which looked like a battle had just been fought, e.g. lots of ruins and bodies and craters to show the repetitive nature of war. I do like those theatres of war tables where it's like layers of detritus building up on the table, where you see a crashed ship which is now half covered in mud and then got fresh bodies on top of it because they've been fighting over that and stuff like that. I love that stuff. And I have to say, you know, Forge World, they do a crashed Thunderhawk, don't they, as well, as one of their tiles, and it's an amazing tile, really good centerpiece to a table, definitely. I'm utterly confused now. Gaffer tape. Yes, you could definitely make it work with gaffer tape. So you wouldn't even bother with hinges. You could just do 2 strips of gaffer tape on both sides of the join. Job done. Job done. I've actually made hinges out of gaffer tape before, by the way. It's almost saved my life in the past, gaffer tapes, but that's another story. I do have to mention one thing that I couldn't have done the table without, and maybe my brother will catch up on this, but I could not have built that table without my brother this weekend. He came down to visit with my mum, and he just worked like an absolute trooper. My back's not brilliant. He did all the heavy lifting for me, so absolutely fantastic. And you know, so a big thank you to Rich. Cheers, bro. Because that was absolutely brilliant. It wouldn't have got done at all without you, so fantastic, and thank you very much. There's definitely some weird number system going on. 5, 10, 11. Is this, are you guys basically bidding for one of my tables? Maybe do you want the middle table for £510? I think Sam would sell it you in the blink of an eye. Look, what I will do anyway with that last one, if people are into that, then I'll put an article up on the website. It won't be premium. You'll be able to access it, you know, just on the public side of the website. And I'll put an article up on the website at some point in the next 2-3 weeks with just some detailed scribbles and a shopping list. And I'll probably just link it on Facebook or something. So look out for that. so you can kind of decide whether it's something you could make work for yourself. And I think you could go from simply just 3 of those boards at £15 each from IKEA. Those tabletops were £15 each. You could get 3 of those. As I said, 2 sets of those pasteboard hinges, screw them all together, and worst comes to the worst, you know, you could just zigzag those together or open them out and put them on top of your dining table. And you haven't had to do any cutting, you haven't had to sand or finish or anything like that. Those tables are done in white, black, oak. I mean, in the instance that I showed you guys, obviously you'll notice 2 of them was black and 1 of them was oak, and that was no accident. It's not that they didn't have the black ones. I was quite happy for the 4x4 to be in black, because if we're doing things like X-Wing games, it'll look nice in terms of the black edge around the 3x3 table. Or if you were doing things like Gore Chosen or something like that, I wanted the nice sort of black surround to the table that you lay out, you know, the little tiles and stuff like that. I thought it'd look cool, but also at the same time, the reason the end bomb was oak is for exactly what you see there. When it's folded away, it you know, just hides all that away, and it looks like a piece of sort of oak furniture. So that was the idea. So there you go. Right, so what makes a good gaming table? As I said, I think something that works for you, either space-wise or complexity. Maybe you want that high-end piece of furniture. Maybe you just need to pick something up from a shop. I always think one of the cheapest options is 2 pasteboard tables and a couple of G clamps. You know, you open those pasteboard tables out and clamp the 2 together underneath, and you've got a gaming table. And that's probably about the cheapest way, but do have to come back to that. That's 3 tables from IKEA for £15 each. The paste tables, you pay another £10 for the hinges. So what are we talking? £55 in UK money, and you could at least have a table topper which just looks immaculate, because it, you know, it's all pre-edged and finished from IKEA, and you can just roll your mat out, and you can have a full-size gaming table that then zigzags away, concertinas back up, and you can just lean it up against a wall or something like that, and it's only sticking out a few inches. So for me, I'm happy because it means I've got a room when the table goes away. But also for me, I'm happy that I'm going to get, just cutting back to this, I'm going to get a nice sort of thick felt pad or something like that, you know, one of these heatproof pads, so I can start to do some terrain work in this studio now. I've got the Frostgrave board to build and all the rest. So obviously I don't want to scratch all of this table up and stuff because it looks quite nice, but I can kind of get on now with some of that scenery, and I've set it up for cameras. So if you look at this, there you go. There's only one section. Let me see if I can find a corresponding photo to what's currently showing. So there you go. That is essentially, you can't see the dog at the moment, but there's a camera mounted above, and just in case you're thinking that's just magic, no, there's my hand. So we're set up to do some terrain work and some boards and even some gaming. There's my little Tyranid beastie there wandering across there. So as you can see, I've already set up a camera to be able to do some filming here as well. So it's going to be good. It's going to be exciting stuff. So I hope one way or another you all find your gaming table of joy. But any advice, any questions, give me a shout, drop me a chat on the Facebook group. I'll obviously appreciate, you know, always struggling for time, but I will make time to try and answer any questions. We'll go from there. How have I done that, by the way? Let's go back to that. I forgot to change it back, that's all. It's not a problem. I wasn't in a bubble, though. I'm not meant to be. I should only ever appear. What's this? What's this going off? Shouldn't be doing that. That's not on brand at all. Okay. Let's catch up with the last of the chat, and maybe it's time to say goodnight. Decimus Maximus. Well, the last table, how much was it in the end? Maybe that question predates me saying £45 for the tables. The hinges were another £10, £15. So let's say £50, £60. I think it ended up being about, including the wood that went round the outside. So bear in mind, it's not just the table, but it made an entire piece of furniture. I think it ended up being about £80 in total. So there you go. Kablam says he's got a set of A-frames from B&Q with some wood across the top, then 6 tongue and groove log boards on the surface, came to £30 to £40 top. Perfect. And probably packs away quite well, doesn't it? So, job done, job done. It's, for me, the question was, have you got somewhere to store it? And in this instance, I was at a place where, one, I don't really have somewhere to store it, so it needed to look like a piece of furniture when it wasn't employed. So I've cunningly managed to make it look like a kind of weird bookshelf / drinks cabinet from the 70s. Decimus Maximus. The issue we had back in the day with pasteboard tables is that the legs are pretty feeble and they start to sag in the middle. Agreed. Yeah, I appreciate that. So you do need a couple of bits of wood for the middle. Good call, Decimus. Seymourson, I might get 3 of those tables and drill holes in the long edge of each. Insert some wood or metal pegs to use that. Slot them together and take them apart on top of the dining table. I'd strongly recommend looking into those pasteboard hinges. Just bear in mind those tables aren't solid. So if you're going to do any kind of pegging thing, the work has to be done where the hinges. So let me just get back to that. That's why you see my, where the hinges, where the legs are intended to go. So that's why you see my hinges right out at the edge here, rather than probably if you were building furniture from scrap, you'd probably bring those hinges in a little bit. So that was, again, done very specifically because I think I can kind of show that. As you can see, that's where the solid wood is on these tables, which is why I've got my leg mounts there, which is why I've got the hinges there. Okay. But go for it. Go for it. If you're talking about pegs just to help it align up and stuff, then absolutely fine. But do look at those hinges, because, I think for the sake of £10 for 2 sets of those hinges, it would do exactly the same as what I'm showing there, where... Ooh, let's get back to it. That's probably the best view of it. As you can see, one set of pasteboard hinges fastened there, another set hand fastened there. It would do exactly the job that I'm doing there. And then you could just zigzag it back up and lean them all together, and they're all together in one neat and tidy thing. I'm struggling for words now. Right, okay, what have we got? Icaria. The TV in the background of the foldaway table could be used as a tactical display. You and Sam love drawing those arrows like in Warhammer World. Yeah, we could do, can't we? Sam loved drawing arrows. He went mental when he was at Warhammer World on the Warhammer TV slot. You look at my diagram and I'm like, I've got my army, and yeah, I'm going to go that way. And Sam's like, I'm going to go here, I'm going to go there, I'm going to surround him, and then I'm going to do this, and I'm going to re-roll ones. And then I've got a 3-up in bun, so I'll just hang around till the end of the game. And then, scribble some more on top. But, saying that, he won. So maybe that's where I went wrong. Kablams, it's a pain to put up and down though. Yeah, well, again, strangely enough, that's what I really liked about this. What I might do is a video of me folding this out, just so you can see how quick this is. It literally goes out in about 30 seconds. You grab hold of the bottom, the 2 hinges ratchet into place, so it's like click, 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 and it's in, and then you fold that bit out, you pop the legs in, you drop it down, job done. It's 30 seconds, and it's up and running. Okay, 600. I think there's still some bidding going off here. We're up to, I don't know what, 1500. Oh, dear me, where are we now? You're killing me. 1 million. 1,000,001 pence. Or is that 1 cent? I'm not sure. Oh, right, that would work. The pegs would just be for lining up. That table would support the weight. Okay, yeah, fair enough then. That's super dope from Crazy Fun Kids Learn, Laugh and Play. Thank you very much. I'm glad you like it. What have we got? Seymourson. What you could do is, rather than having the pegs to connect, buy some larger rare earth magnets and countersink them into the edges, then they'd be flush for storage. Agreed, yes. That's something I've done. And in fact, actually, I did say I had an idea to get it to exactly the right size and give me a dice tray. I've considered mounting magnets down this outer edge, so just putting, say, 2 or 3 magnets down the outer edge of each one, and then having like a bead that magnetizes So imagine a piece of wood that's just sort of 5 centimeters high that just has magnets embedded in it as well that just clamp onto the edge to stop your dice rolling off the edge of the table. That was the idea I was talking about. And if you made that kind of a little an L-shape segment, I'm trying to think. I haven't got a pen here, so well, I have got a pen here, but I doubt you guys would see it. So let's see if this is going to work. Right. Oof. You know what? I had so much to cover today. I've got things like like White Dwarf to look at. So if this was, oh no, fail. If this was the table edge, then you could have a piece that kind of goes like that, which gives you that extra 1 centimeter that you needed, and you would have magnets meeting up like that. And obviously your mats would fit in and your dice would not bounce off the edge of the table. That would be the idea. It wouldn't be that big of a deal. There's room to store them down by the legs as well, so you do little 2-foot sections of them and just clamp them on. I may still do it yet. I may still do it. Where are we now? Phew. But pegs would be useful to align the magnets before sticking them in. Absolutely true. Wargamer, this is from Reaper. You're going to go and look for your tables and find them painted as Blood Ravens. Totally me. That would be cool. You know what? Doing themed tables would be really nice. I could just airbrush a huge symbol onto that big area, the black area, couldn't you? Ah, right. Okay, then. Maybe it's enough time to call it a night. Where are we at now? Where are we at now? It is 22 minutes past 10. So I've ran over a little bit. I've not even shown a little sneak preview of something that's landed on my desk this week, but I will be doing a full review of it. So this is then that's just one part of it because it's got detail that goes on top. Landed on my desk this week, and this is it. This is the sneak preview you're going to get. But obviously, that in my mind, although it's designed for another gaming system, and I'll do a full report on it, is going to make a beautiful Gene Stealer car. So I'm pretty excited to be doing my Magus in some kind of really cool car. And I think it's going to be done in iridescent paints, which gives me the ideal opportunity to do a painting tutorial on painting iridescent paints. So there you go. Very excited. Yes, it's a new record. But I think, is it 1 hour 20? For me, probably. I'm going to have to go soon because I'm burning up data and we need data for tomorrow night because we've got a Halloween special. So with that, I am going to say all of the usual stuff. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you for joining me in. Thank you for everybody who's joined on the chat and contributed to the show. I hope you found it interesting. I hope somewhere in amongst all of this nonsense that I've talked about what I think makes a good gaming table, that you've somehow come to terms with what you're looking for in a gaming table. Maybe I've given you some tips. Maybe I've given you something that will help out. If not, drop me a question on the Facebook group. I hope you've given likes and all those kind of things, and I'm sure that Akari has been onto that. Thanks to the Valraki and Heresy people who bombed across for a while as well. Always good to see you guys come in as well. And the good news is I will see you tomorrow night. So like, share, enjoy, subscribe. Premium members, we love you all. Thank you very much to everybody who's joined tonight, and we will see you tomorrow.